Hey there, everybody, and welcome to OutKick Bets, the show. I am Kayla Canarum. Happy New Year, everybody. January 3rd, here we are. Like I said, I'm Kayla Canarum, and my good buddy Arky is over there in Alabama. Arky, how was your holiday, my friend? It's been a minute. I missed you.
Oh, I missed you too, Kay. Very sweet of you to say so. I'll tell you, the holidays were great, but more importantly, the last 40 hours or so here in my home city have been very interesting. On Saturday or Friday night or Saturday night, I should say, we had what we call a tornado warning just around my neighborhood, and then 25 hours later, 4 inches of snow are on the ground right now. So it is a wild time to be a North Alabama resident. I am super excited to go out there and play in it once the show is over. But until then, let's make some more money.
Absolutely, let's do it. Really quick, what's the countdown to Christmas?
I don't know. I don't get there till 31, so I'm
kidding.
I'm not that nuts about it.
Just kidding. All right, let's get to it. Yeah, cold weather everywhere, even in LA here, which is still like in the 50s and 40s, so I can't complain too much. But let's get to today's show. We're going to start with a bet last night. Obviously, we had a lot of bets take place since we've been gone, but we're going to hit on Alabama and Georgia because they were so dominant. The playoff stage is set, and it is going to be an all-SEC showdown to all the non-SEC fans' dismay. But clearly the best two teams are the last ones standing, so I don't think you can hate on it too much. Is this where I say don't hate us because you ain't us? I mean, as a Mizzou fan, I have zero room to talk, but it gives my team a little more street cred, you know?
But that's not in the SEC for 11 minutes. Relax.
I know. But back to the championship, which will, of course, be taking place a week from tonight. Bama got there by cruising past the Cincinnati Bearcats 21-6, while Georgia had full control over the Michigan Wolverines 34-11. We're going to get to those championship lines in just a minute, but Arky, first question for you. Which win was more impressive to you?
For me, it was Georgia. Georgia beating Michigan the way they beat them. Like, once they got on the field, it almost looked like Michigan was, the freshman team going against the seniors. But there was such a distinct size advantage there that really was kind of shocking to see up close. So to be able to watch those two teams battle it out and to see Georgia have no problems offensively or defensively, it was very good time well spent over the last 3.5 weeks for the Bulldogs.
Absolutely. So yes, we will be getting a rematch of the SEC championship game, which of course brought the Bulldogs' perfect season to a screeching halt after taking a 41-24 loss back to the Crimson Tide at the beginning of December. So now it's revenge time for Georgia, and the lines are currently on their side. So as it stands right now, the Dogs are favored at -3 with a total of 52.5. Obviously, we will get into this one deep next week. But Arky, what do you make of these lines? And do you see Georgia tackling their Goliath next Monday and coming out on top, or will Bama once again be crowned champs?
Kayla, think about it in your entire life.
Oh, man.
Who do
That's going
you
back
trust the most? This is not a trick question. Who do you trust the most in your entire life?
Am I supposed to say Nick Saban?
You can say whoever you want. Who do you trust in your entire life?
Probably my parents.
That's fine. Because I am the one that trusts Nick Saban the most. That yours makes sense, but so does mine. Nick Saban, when he has 3+ weeks to get ready for a game, he is phenomenal. He has only lost 3 times, and he's 23-7 after beating Cincinnati against the spread, -13.5, which it was over on Friday night. And that's why I made my biggest bet of the entire college football season, 5 figures on Alabama to cover that spread against Cincinnati.
Woo!
And they did. If you watch the game, it took a minute, okay? It took a minute. There was some nail biting going on. But Alabama, just when they have that much time, it doesn't matter who their opponent is for the majority case. I can't see why anyone would trust Georgia still at this point.
Really?
We've seen these two teams play each other literally 1 game ago, right? We saw these two teams in a high-profile, high-important scene, and it went the Alabama way. Everybody distrusted Alabama then. They're starting to distrust them now, and that's fine. You guys can have Georgia. I'll take the money. I'm just telling you right now, I'm taking Alabama, okay? Until you tell me not to take Bama, I'm taking Bama. And Nick Saban hasn't told me or given me any reason to not trust Alabama to win in a big-time game. Now, the 2 weeks in between, or the 10 days roughly in between, is a little less good for them in general. That's good English, by the way, Arky. It usually works out worse for them as far as, the better team's usually the one in the championship that they'll play. But they've already played them and beat their brakes off. And that's after being down 10-0 in the first quarter. Listen, I don't know, man. The odds makers are what they are, but they were wrong before, and I think they're going to be wrong again here. But, I look forward to watching the game just because I'll have money on it. But I don't have any other reason to watch it besides that.
And you're Mr. It's hard to beat the same team twice in 1 year. So that's big coming from you.
Except for Alabama's dominant.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is usually when two teams are fairly matched up and, they're getting lots of money to be paid, for example, like in the National Football League to do it. You get a book to read to each other, a book on each other, I should say, to prepare for the game. But as much as Georgia got better against Michigan, Alabama gets the same tape. They get to watch the same thing we do. Yep. They got a better coach. I mean, it's just, for me, it's clear. Alabama's the team you got to trust. When it comes to money, all my money gets trusted to Nick Saban.
All right. And with that, roll tide, y'all. We're going to move on. Obviously, like I said, we will hit that a little deeper next week. But we're going to move on to our game of the day, which is, of course, Monday Night Football. All of these lines are according to FanDuel Sportsbook. The Browns, who are 7-8, 2-5 on the road, will visit the Steelers, who are 7-1, 5-2-1 at home. Right now, Pittsburgh is the 2.5-point favorite with a total of 42.5. Both teams bringing up the bottom of the AFC North, and it's worth noting that the Browns were eliminated from the playoffs yesterday. So, Arky, does that make them come out stronger to try to prevent the Steelers from making it, who are still technically in the running, or do they just throw in the towel at this point? How do you see this one going tonight?
So, before the Chargers win, they were a 3.5-point favorite, were the Browns in this game. Mm-hmm. Once the Chargers won and they got the Browns eliminated from the playoffs, it's now swung, as you see, to 2.5 in favor of the Steelers because the Steelers still have something to play for. Right? They have to win and win next week and somehow, some way, have the Jaguars beat the Colts next week.
Yep.
But then they're in. Like, if all of that happens, they will be in.
So easy.
Yeah, okay, so you're going to have to beat the Ravens and the Browns tonight. So I was thinking about this game a lot once that news happened. I'm not sure I love the bet I'm about to make on this game. Because I don't know, if you're the Browns, what you do with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield is the future of this franchise, probably. You may not love it, but it's really hard to get a really good quarterback and trust him in the NFL draft. So Baker Mayfield has another year on his deal coming up. It's about $19 million. For a guy who's had a beat-up left shoulder and labrum this entire year, feels like, who's been wearing a big harness this whole season, it feels like, do you even play him in this game?
I was wondering that.
Just let him have the end of the season and say it's done. Because what's in it for him to continue to play, other than sort of pride with his team? I'm not sure. Okay, he may just want to gun it out and just play. I'm not so sure that he actually plays in this game tonight. He may, so I don't really trust that. Ben Roethlisberger's already said that this might be, and he's flirted with the drama before, this is probably going to be his last game at Heinz Field. And Myles Garrett said, I'd love to make that true. So, Myles Garrett's going to be motivated and ready to play, even though the team's not going to be anywhere near playoff contention now. And the Steelers, who have a pretty decent offensive line, have a really good running back in Najee Harris. And Big Ben does play well in the second half of games if they get there. So, I tend to lean that I like the Steelers with the motivation to play in this game. But the defense for the Browns is going to be pretty motivated to stop the Steelers from being able to get into the playoffs, too. Because with the loss, I think they're out. So, I'm going to tell you that I like the Steelers minus 2.5, but I really, really don't love it. What I do like, though, a lot is my prop play in this game.
Ooh.
Under 21.5 points in the first half. Let me just say this, Kayla. In the last 5 games,
Yes.
4 games, the Steelers have scored 9 points total in the first half.
What?
9 total.
It's not great.
No. In fact, I'd say it's bad. I'd say it's really, 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 really bad. So I tend to lean toward the under in the first half and the team total under 10. But I wouldn't play that one per se because I'm a little worried about the motivation and maybe the Steelers come out and pop one big early. So I'll play the Steelers minus 2.5. Don't love it. I'm going to put a little money on it because I can't not. And then the under 21.5 in the first half.
Okay. And actually, I'm right there with you. This is tricky because they're two mediocre teams, really. So the way I'm looking at it, their last meeting on Halloween, the Steelers got the win 15-10. And with the way the year has gone for Cleveland and factoring in the road record, it's not going to be easy for the Browns. Not that it'll make a huge difference in this game, but the Browns will be without about 5 players due to COVID protocols, while the Steelers will be missing roughly 6. It's no secret Baker, like you said, has had a less than ideal season and has been playing hurt through most of it. So, like you said, again, the best thing for him will be this offseason. Will he play tonight? Still TBD. But what the Browns have lacked in the air, they've made up for on the ground with Nick Chubb, who's recorded 207 carries for 1,143 yards, putting him at 3rd in the league, along with 8 touchdowns. And what will make this interesting, especially when you factor in Kareem Hunt, who is also expected to play, is that they will be going up against a team with the NFL's worst run defense, having given up most rushing yards by any team all season. However, in their last game, the Steelers were able to contain Chubb to just 61 yards on 16 carries and no touchdowns. On the season, Cleveland is 7-8 against the spread, while the Steelers are 6-9 and 3-5 when playing at home. Meanwhile, this total of 42 has hit the over in 8 of the Browns games, and Pittsburgh has seen it in 9. So keeping all this in mind, Arky, and while I'm hoping it'll be a good game, I'm not setting my sights very high for this one tonight, but I'm going to be right there with you. I'm going to take the Steelers at minus 2.5 at home, who are still, like we said, in the playoff hunt. So that's obviously going to add some motivation for them. I also kind of like the over here, even though you just gave those stats about how the Steelers put up no points in the first half. Over 42, so why not? Let's have some fun in the new year. Give me the over, which is probably not that smart, but let's have some fun. I can completely see a scenario, though, in which the Browns somehow pull out a win, especially after they played the Packers so close just last week on the road. But I'm just going to roll with the home team here. Let's see what Big Ben has in store for us. So fingers crossed, Steelers minus 2.5.
I don't hate the over, by the way. Like, they've had some enormously crazy second half games this season, have the Steelers, and that's really all you need. I mean, they've scored over 40 in the fourth quarter, I think a couple of times combined, like this season. So, like, you can do it, like, just in one quarter, because that's when Big Ben wakes up and is like, oh, yeah, we're down 5 touchdowns. Okay, good, let's figure it out.
That's how Patrick Mahomes was in the past few years. Like, they would be down, and then he would turn it on, and then we all saw what happened then. But, yeah. All right, we'll see what happens. Bring it in the second half, Steelers. Por favor. All right, moving on to our spotlight matchup of the day. We're going to head over to college basketball, where number 23, Wisconsin, who is 10-2, 1-1 in conference play, is going to take on number 3, Purdue, who is 12-1, also 1-1 in conference play. Purdue, right now, the 13-point favorite with a total at 140. If the Boilermakers pick up a win tonight, it will be their 5th win in a row, 9th straight home win, and their 6th straight over the Badgers, who haven't seen a win against Purdue Arky since January of 2014. Will that change tonight? Who do you think is going to be coming out on top in this one, and how are you going to be betting this game?
Man, this is a really, really, really fascinating matchup because you're talking about 2 very stylistically different teams. Purdue is a very high-paced, fast-paced offense. They're top 5 in the country when it comes to points per game, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage made. Like, they are a really efficient, good basketball team. It's the reason, by the way, they're tied for the second best odds to win the national championship behind Baylor, who's right now. I think, them and like 3 other teams are, I think, on FanDuel right now for like plus 1,000 if you wanted to bet them. I really like them. Anyway, outside of that, like you look at sort of the star power in this game, and it's very clearly on the Purdue side. Purdue's got really elite playmakers like Trevion Williams, who's averaging like 10 rebounds a game. Jay Nivey, who's a great point guard, who's about 17 a game. And then you throw in a dude like Zach Edey, who's like 7'5", and he's averaging like 15 and 7 a game. I don't know where all these 7-foot people come from, Kayla. What are they eating? I don't know where it's coming from. I didn't get any of it, to be honest with you. Like, there's some HGH somewhere in the soil wherever these kids are getting their vegetables. Excuse me. Outside of that, like, you look at Wisconsin, they're much more about their defense. Although they got a really good guard in Johnny Davis, who's 13th in the country, averaging over 20 points a game right now. And he's been really, really talented. In fact, he was battling for time to play on the under-19 Team USA team this last offseason. So he's really, 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 really good. But Wisconsin's a defensive team, and they sort of always have been that kind of defensive team. Right? They got a little bit more tick in their offense this year. They got a playmaker there. But for the most part, this team is built on their ability to turn you over, to also not turn the ball over. They're, I think, third fewest in the country in turnovers allowed per game, which is really, really good for them. But they're really also bad when it comes to the offensive efficiency side. They're not very good when it comes to field goal percentage. They're not very good at shooting the three. They're just not a very well-equipped team to handle a team like Purdue for 40 minutes unless they can get them in the muck. Unless they can make this a physical, slower-paced game and keep the ball in front of them. They're going to be only in this game if they dirty this game up just a little bit that way and slow this game down. I don't know if they can do it, to be honest with you. Like, they've struggled in the last two games against Nichols and I'm trying to remember their last opponent, but they beat them by like 4. I'm missing out on that. Doesn't really matter. 2 non-conference opponents coming into this. I don't know if they're going to be able to slow this down enough for Purdue. 13's a lot of points in a Big Ten game, but Purdue is 7-1-1 against the spread in their last 9 against this here Wisconsin team. I know they're not all this Wisconsin team, but they've been pretty good traditionally against them over the last, and that goes over 7 years.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning Purdue minus 13 this one, 2K.
Ooh, all right. That's a risky take, but I like it. And maybe it's not risky. I don't know. Yeah. For 2 good teams, like we said. So here's how I'm looking at it. According to the stats, the Boilermakers should have this one in the bag, right? But whether or not the Badgers can cover is obviously what we care about here on the show. So with that said, Arky, Wisconsin is 8-4 against the spread on the year, while Purdue is 7-5. This total of 140 has hit in 9 of Purdue's 13 games, while Wisconsin has combined for this total in just 2. Jaden Ivey, who is who the Badgers will need to contain. He leads Purdue in points, averaging 16.7 per game. On the other side of the court, however, Jonathan Davis is the ringleader for Wisconsin, leading his Badgers in points at 20.8, rebounds at 6.6, and assists at 2.5 per game. It's also worth mentioning that Davis has hit 31% of the 41 three-pointers attempted so far this season, with 4 in his last 5 games. So, moral of the story, Purdue will be looking to shut down Davis at all costs. It's also worth noting that Wisconsin has, like you said, the 4th, I think you said 3rd, I think it's 4th lowest turnover rate in the NCAA, while Purdue is not forcing a ton of turnovers. So that is also something to keep in mind. So with that said, that is why I'm going to do something a little crazy here and go the flip side of that, Arky, and I'm going to take Wisconsin at plus 13. I know, it's scary. I won't be taking the total. I'm confident Purdue will win. And having watched not a lot of Wisconsin games this season, I am blindly confident that they can play them closer than 13. So that's where my head's at tonight.
Yeah, I'm weird on Wisconsin. The last 2 non-conference games really haven't been very impressive. They were being blown out by Indiana a couple of weeks ago, and then they come back to win that game. I think they were losing by like 24 in that game at one point.
Yeah.
Come back to win that game. So it makes me a little hesitant on Purdue. But again, this is sort of a small bet kind of line on this one, too. This is in the, like if you, I don't like to do units, but I'm on the smaller 1-unit kind of side if you like units for Purdue to cover. All right.
And we are now going to move on to our quick hitters of the day. Arky, where are you taking us for your quick hitter today?
The Grizzlies go to Brooklyn.
Let's go.
They get to take on the Nets. The Hoopy Hoops, excuse me, continues. By the way, Kyrie Irving is apparently going to be back in action Wednesday for the Brooklyn Nets.
Hello.
For the record, today's Monday, so let's focus on this game and the Grizzlies and Ja Morant's team. Now, the Grizzlies have a bunch of dudes that are out, but it really kind of, sort of, frankly, hasn't mattered. Like, it's the weird thing about, listen, Ja Morant and the team did play when they went to Oklahoma City and beat them by 75, right? Like, this team is just, it's deep. They're deep and they're super competitive. They're 22-15 against the spread this season. And Brooklyn, by the way, they're in the back end, the very back end of a 3-game home stretch right now. They've lost the previous 2 games.
Yep.
Like, this is not the complete team. And by the way, that's with James Harden and Kevin Durant going for 63 and 62 combined, respectively, in those 2 games.
Whew.
Those two guys haven't been able to get this team over the hump. 7.5 is a bunch of points to be given to this particular Memphis Grizzlies team. They're a really, really good team. If you sort of haven't been watching a lot during the break, you've been watching bowl games in the NFL, I get it. But the Grizzlies are really, really, really good this year. And Ja Morant, by the way, has been special during this the last 4 games. He's averaging 38.5 points in their last 4 games. 38.
That's a lot.
And 1/2 points, Kayla. That's so many points.
Especially in the NBA. What?
It's so many points. Plus, Brooklyn at home against the spread is awful. They're awful. They're 5-13 at home against the spread. 1-9 in the last 10 against the spread. Yo, give me Memphis all day plus 7.5.
I like that. If I were betting that game, I would take the same thing. I think that's a smart bet.
Yeah,
Grizzlies are on fire.
Ja's not ruled out for this game yet. Doesn't matter. You can put out just about anybody not named the Thunder against the Nets and they'll cover the 7.5, it feels like.
Rude. You always have to bring up that game.
I'm sorry. Josh Giddey.
Salt in the wound.
Josh Giddey, the youngest to get a triple-double. Congratulations to him.
Thank you. Thank you. The future is bright in OKC. Just got to get there.
It is.
All right, for my quick hitter, I am also staying in the NBA. I'm looking at the Timberwolves, who are 16-20, 6-10 on the road, who will visit the Clippers, who are 19-18, 12-10 at home. Right now, the Clippers are the 2-point favorite. Clippers will be coming into this one off a win over the Nets, which was one of their home losses, by the way, on New Year's Day on the road, but have dropped 5 of their last 8, including 3 straight at home. So they're looking for a home win tonight. The Timberwolves, meanwhile, are coming off back-to-back, and a loss to the Lakers last night, and have also dropped 5 of their last 8. Cat continues to dominate for Minnesota, leading the team in points and rebounds, while the same could be said for Paul George, who leads the Clips in points and assists. By the way, Arky, is Cat still dating Jordan Woods? Do you know?
Sorry, what?
I knew you were going to say that. I just wanted to get your pop culture check for today. I think they are.
Okay.
Do you know who Jordan Woods is?
No. Jordan. Baseball player.
No. I don't think we have time to explain who she is on today's show. It's a whole Keeping Up with the Kardashians debacle. Anyway, I think they are still dating. Yeah. They're cute. They're a cute couple. All right. Needed to hit you with some pop culture in the new year. That's all. Back to sports. Los Angeles is 16-20-1 against the spread this season. And in games in which they've been favored by 2 or more, they have gone 10-13-1. On the Minnesota side of the ball, the Timberwolves are 19-17 against the spread and 10-9 as the 2-point dogs. Do I think Minnesota is due for a dub? I do. Do I think coming off a back-to-back on game 3 of their 3-game road trip will factor in? Also, yes. So, with that said, give me the Clippers here at -2 at Crypto.com Arena tonight, which still feels incredibly weird to say, Arky.
Yeah, I don't. That's in Los Angeles, right?
It is.
Okay, so that's going to get weird. Okay, yeah, okay, that's fine. It's some random made-up money arena. I got it. The Lakers still play
Money
there, right?
talks. Yeah, they do, yes.
Okay, all right.
Still feels weird. That'll take a while to get used to. But moving on to our games to look out for. Arky, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking at Thursday night, y'all. We got some college basketball action where Seattle takes on Chicago State. And I know what you're thinking. Arky, are you high? What is your interest in this game? And I get it. Excuse me. I get why you're asking that. Because who the hell cares about this WAC game, right? I do. Because for the last 3 seasons, Chicago State has been your miserable team to where I make so much money betting against them against the spread. I'm not kidding, Kayla. There was a game a couple of years ago where they were taking on Florida State. They were a 49-point underdog, and they didn't cover. Okay? That's how bad that they've been. But this year, off a year last year where they did not play, they just did not have a season, this year, things are very different. They're actually one of the better teams in the NCAA when it comes to covering the spread. They're 10-5 against the spread. Now, the spread's not The spread's not out yet. You guys know for these college basketball games, don't usually come out till late the night before.
Right.
But I'm very interested in this number because there's a real good chance that if it's interesting middle to high double digits, which they still are, Chicago State's still not a great team, but they're a lot better at covering than they have been. There's been a step up this season. I may be interested in betting on Chicago State to actually cover a 20, 21, 22-point type spread, which it probably will be. So you may want to DM me on the old Twitter, Arky to see what that play is going to be when the spread comes out on late Wednesday night, early Thursday. But that's what I'm really interested in.
Okay, I like that. All right. I'm looking towards the NFL Week 18, something we've never said before. And I'm going to be looking at Packers taking on Detroit. That's a joke. I'm not. I'm looking ahead to the Titans at Texans.
You almost had me. Kayla.
Good. Just seeing if you're with me on this Monday. Looking at the Texans. Why? Because I absolutely need Houston to look deep within themselves and play the game of their lives, as I need my Chiefs sitting back atop the AFC division. So this is purely for selfish reasons. With that said, it's not looking great, as the lines currently suggest. Tennessee is the 10.5-point favorite right now, with a total sitting at 43. Titans are 11-5, 4-3 on the road, while the Texans are 4-12, 2-6 at home. Wonderful. The first place Titans against the third place Texans, who have zero chance at the playoffs. Do you believe in miracles? I do. And I'm hoping Houston will pull one out on Sunday. The Texans have dropped 3 of their last 5, and the Titans have not, picking up 3 of their last 5. The Titans are coming off a dominating win over the Dolphins yesterday, 34-3, which was a little surprising considering how the Dolphins have been playing lately, snapping their 7-game winning streak. And the Titans are still without Derrick Henry, so that's a little scary. But let's not forget the only glimmer of hope I'm holding on to, and that was when the Texans, who 2 weeks ago, if you'll remember, took down a pretty good Chargers team at home, 41-29. Not only that, Arky, but they have already beaten the Titans this season on the road in Week 11, 22-13. So, can lightning strike the same place twice? I guess we will find out and see. By the way, I'm making a way bigger deal about this. It's just for fun. I'm not worried about my Chiefs yet, but it would be nice to be back in first. With that said, Texans' last 4 losses, they have lost by more than 10.5 points twice. The Titans are 10-5 against the spread in their last 15, and Houston is 2-4 in their last 6. The totals have hit the last 5 times the Texans have played the Titans at home, so keep that in mind. However, the totals have gone under in 5 of the Titans' last 6 games. So I would lean the under, but won't be taking the total in this one. What I will be taking, though, is the Texans. You heard me. At plus 10.5, let's cowboy up. Here we go.
Okay. You need the Texans to win outright, but that's too much to sort of stake your reputation on, I understand.
Right.
The Titans are sort of a slower type build offense, and Davis Mills, a quarterback, is a dude that just completes passes at a high rate, who gives his team a chance to score on drives, which they really have struggled with the first half of the season. So, yeah, maybe the Titans just sort of eke this one out. Look, the Titans have 2 inexplicable losses. One to the Jets, and you're right, one to this Texans team earlier this season.
Yes.
They should have already had the number 1 seed wrapped up, but instead, they're going to have to battle for this one, and the Texans won't go quietly.
Nope. I need a Texans win, and I need them, obviously, to cover. So that's where we're going with it. Let's take a look at our Monday in review, shall we? Here are the picks that we both have for today. Monday Night Football. Arky is taking the Steelers at minus 2.5, and your prop bet was under 21 in the first half?
Yep, under 21.5 first half.
Under 21 first half. Got it. I am also taking the Steelers at minus 2.5 and the over of 42. It's feeling wild today. In our spotlight matchup, Arky is taking Purdue at minus 13. I am taking Wisconsin at plus 13. Quick hitters, Arky is riding with the Grizzlies at plus 7.5. I am riding with the Clippers at minus 2 over Minnesota. Games to look out for, I am taking the Texans plus 10.5 in their game against Tennessee this weekend. That is going to do it for our first show in the new year. Arky, how'd you think that went?
I think it went good. I got a little raspy throat because I'm thinking about all the snowballs.
You and me both.
Yeah. Well, you
a little under the weather.
Yeah.
Yes, go have fun in the snow. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to make your picks at fanduel.com/OutKick. That is Arky Shea. I'm Kayla Canarum. Best of luck in your betting, friends, and we will see you right back here tomorrow. Same time, same place. Have a good one.